Hey, this is Josh again, and I'm going to take you slowly through, not slowly, I'm just going to take you through, take my time, and go through, I think we're going to do about 12 truths about NEXA Mortgage. And I want to tell you up front in full transparency, I work for NEXA Mortgage. I'm making these videos because I think you should work for NEXA too. And I want to help you. I want to be your assistant. I want to help you be successful and great in the mortgage business. But let's get started. NEXA Mortgage can attract greedy loan officers. You say, Josh, what does that mean? It can attract greedy loan officers. Well, the NEXA pay scale is really, really strong. It's a good pay scale. And because of that, you can make more money with NEXA than with other lenders. And that can cause NEXA to attract people that are just all about the money. But I also want to tell you that because it allows you to make so much compensation, it also allows you to discount in any way you choose. If you want to discount the rate or discount the way you do business, you want to set it up to where you make a smaller compensation on every loan, you can do that and pass your savings on to your customer. And so while it does attract greedy loan officers, it also attracts loan officers that want to be generous. So it's kind of up to you the way you run your business. Now here's the neat thing. The neat thing about NEXA Mortgage is with 264 lenders in our books, it's often possible to make a high compensation and give the borrowers a great rate. So while it does attract greedy loan officers, some might just go out there and find any company that they can and make the most compensation they can. It also gives us the ability to search through those lenders, offer a very, very good rate that still pays us a great compensation and still beats the industry average, the industry numbers. There's the opportunity to do it both ways. Okay, the platform is confusing. Pay is confusing, and the reason the platform is confusing and pay is confusing is because it's very, very specific. The platform is set up to be able to pay loan officers the most compensation possible. And because of that, it's not cut and dry. Let me give you an example. If I were to go out to quote a job, I'm a general contractor as well. If I were to go out to quote a new front door for a customer and I wasn't sure about whether or not all of the framing was good and all of that, I could just make the quote high enough to cover everything. And by making the quote high enough to cover everything, I cover my butt, I make money, and I don't have to get real detailed. Well, NEXA's not like that. NEXA doesn't make it in such a way that the NEXA portion of the mortgage, of the loan, is so big that we know we can pay the loan officers because we're just paying a lower basis point. But that's not the way it is. It's confusing because it's set up so that NEXA can make what it needs to survive as a company and give the loan officer as much as possible. And of course, with NEXA 100, that's a new thing from NEXA. Boy, it's hard to look at a camera. And anyway, the reason with NEXA 100, you're getting all of the compensation. It's going either in your payroll or in your ledger, and that's kind of transparent too. But it's not completely without some complications and confusion. If you want to know what is the NEXA compensation, on a 275 basis deal, the pay is 220 for a borrow paid loan. If you want to know how you get to that, whatever you charge, whether it's 275 or some other number, the way it works is you take 25 basis points out for NEXA, and then you take the remaining and multiply times 88%. That's how you get paid. 88% of the broker check minus 25 basis points. That's the formula. Okay, it's not easy. It's a little bit confusing because it's just set up to pay you as much as possible. Next, it does implement change very, very fast. Every Tuesday in Town Hall, there's about 15 minutes that we ask every Nexan to be a part of. Now, they're not really keeping roll, so if you miss one here and there, it's not the end of the world. And if you miss one here or there, it's recorded and you can look at it. You can catch up. But it's the first 15 minutes where company updates are made. And then the whole rest of the time for that NEXA Town Hall meeting each week, it's for question and answer. And often in question and answer, somebody will say, hey, Mike, talking to Mike Cordes, the I guess he's the CEO. Anyway, sometimes people will say, hey, can we make this change? And every once in a while, Mike will think it through and say, does it fit the rules of NEXA? The two rules of NEXA are, is it legal or compliant? And is it profitable? And if it works out in his mind that it's legal and compliant and profitable, he may make a change immediately right there. And I've seen it happen multiple times. And implement some new policy that benefits loan officers. And so those changes happen kind of rapidly. Sometimes, if you miss a NEXA town hall, you might go, wait a minute, this is a new benefit that we didn't know about. So it gets changed. That change happens really quick. We rolled out NEXA 100 really quick. The NEXA, it's called non-delegated lending. It's kind of almost like retail. It's what allows NEXA to pay loan officers 100%. And when I say pay loan officers 100%, remember, a portion of that goes into your payroll and a portion of that goes into your ledger where you have access to buy business cards and pay tech fees and anything you need to cover your business. Okay, the next thing that's truth about NEXA is loan officer supports for everyone. You don't have to join NEXA to have access to loan officer support. So it's not exclusive. So you might say, hey, I can have all of the benefits of loan officer support without joining NEXA. That's true. That's true. If I were in charge, I don't know if I would offer that, but it's, it's not an exclusive thing to NEXA. You can use loan officer support too, even without joining NEXA. Remember, I want you to join NEXA. Okay, the coaches, they're just volunteers. So when you go into loan officer support and you click on scenario coach, and a person comes up on a live Zoom screen, they say, hey Josh, how can I help you? What are your questions? And you have some scenario, maybe it's a jumbo deal that you don't really know how to quote, or it's a problem with lending pad that you're not sure how to rectify, and they come in and help you. They're just volunteers. They're not getting paid for their time for helping you. And so you might feel like, oh, I'm taking advantage of them. I'm taking too much of their time. They're there. The way they could get compensated by being in loan officer support as a coach is sometimes we refer loans to loan officer support for states that we're not licensed in. And that's how it works. That's why they sit there. That's why they help you, because every once in a while you're going to have a borrower wanting to borrow money in a state that you're not licensed in. So you refer it to loan officer support. You'll get paid a very nice referral fee, and they'll take care of the loan for you. But they're just volunteers, so I'm kind of respectful of their time. Sometimes, okay, so in loan officer support, and I'm talking a lot about loan officer support, but that's the NEXA platform. Well, and again, anybody can use it, but it's engineered for NEXA. It's made for us. So when I go into loan officer support, I can click on a tab that takes me to a bunch of a bunch of mortgage companies, lenders, wholesale lenders, and I can click on that and I can see all of these different AEs sitting ready to support me in loan officer support. And you say, Josh, that's pretty cool. Well, I will tell you that not all the time. Sometimes I'll get on there and a loan officer or a AE, here, let me just show you. Sometimes I'll jump in here to loan officer support, and I'll want to do business with maybe EPM, or in this case, UWM or Windsor. UWM's almost always live, but right now I can talk to PennyMac live. I could click on here and an AE would come up and talk to me live, or I could go to Home Express and AE will talk to me live. But sometimes they might be in a company meeting or they might not be signed in yet and I can't get them. So yes, there's 264 lenders here, but only in this scenario, there's only 12 that are live. And so not all the time is everyone live. You know what? We talked about the coaches, so let me just show you. There are coaches that are here live too. And when I go in, I'm sure if there's not enough coaches online and people are logging in, then they'll add people. But right now there's 3 coaches on here that I can go talk to live. Okay, so sometimes the AEs don't use the Zoom meetings. Out of those 264, some of them you'll go down there and you'll see that they haven't been logged into Zoom in a month or 2 months or 3 months. They just don't use Zoom that much. But you can click on their name and get their name, their telephone number and their email address, and you can reach out to them. It also sorts and helps you find what loans they do. So there's a lot of benefits, even though they're not always using the Zoom rooms. NEXA is too freaking big. That's one of the problems with NEXA, is we're so big. I'm always trying to do this, recruit loan officers to come join NEXA, but we're so big that there's so many of them that are already with NEXA, and that can be a problem. But let me tell you the good side of it. The good side of NEXA being big is that when we roll out some program or we roll out a new lender, the lenders give us their very best rates. When we have some kind of thing that we want to purchase, like, I don't know, like, my brain's blanking. Anyway, there's a marketplace and all of these different things to purchase. Here, let me just show you real quick. Let's show you the marketplace. When I go to, where is the marketplace? When I go to the marketplace and I want to buy some of these services like MLO Box or Track Record or Poly or MBS Highway, we get the best rates for these deals because we are so freaking big. So if you want one of those things like Poly or MBS Highway or whatever it is you might want, maybe you want I don't know, you want to buy leads or you want to get Home IQ or Home Report, we get the absolute best rates because NEXA is so freaking big. Okay, what else? Support isn't local. Sometimes when I log into support, the person that comes on to help me, now I'm talking now about the NEXA employees, not talking about coaches, but I'm talking about, you know, somebody in payroll or somebody in funding or somebody in one of those different departments. They're not always local. They don't say howdy and ma'am and speak like I do here in North Carolina, North Kikaliki, as some people like to make fun of our southern drawl. But they don't speak exactly like me because they're from all over the place. NEXA's corporate offices are in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's just, you know, and the support comes from all over the place, and not all of the support there is, you know, Southern white Americans. Sometimes it's people of all different races and all different ethnicities. And if that bothers you, you don't like that, NEXA may not be a good fit for you. That's okay. It's mostly remote. I'm working here. I've got on my NEXA t-shirt. I'm working here in this is kind of like it's kind of outside of my main house, but it's kind of my office. And so a lot of the times I'm doing my work right here from a NEXA home, from Josh's home office. It's not NEXA at all. But there are a few offices. My office is, you know, not quite 45 minutes away or so. It's in Mooresville, North Carolina. I don't go to that office very often, but I have that if I need to. So you might be a NEXA loan officer, you're in Podunk, Tennessee, and the closest office you could use or use space at might be 2 hours away. It's mostly remote. I like working remote. I like working from my home. I like this benefit, and you might not, and that's okay. You pay for everything. Now, that sounds extreme, but it's true. You don't get provided with a computer. My last lender where I worked, they sent me a computer and they sent me tech. I bought my computer, this computer that I'm working on right now. I bought it from Best Buy. I paid for it with my NEXA business account, my ledger basically, but I had to pay for it. It came out of my ledger. I also pay for my Best Buy technology service or whatever, so $175 a year, and I can go to Best Buy and they'll get online with me and help me out and fix problems. I had a little trouble with my printer last week. I had a little trouble with my fingerprint reader on my laptop a couple weeks ago, and so it cost me $175. Again, I pay for it with my NEXA ledger money, so it doesn't feel like I'm paying for everything, but it's that portion of my commissions that go into my ledger that ends up paying for that. When I want to buy, you know, my business cards are poker chips. So when I buy these business cards and they say whatever they say, it comes out of my ledger. And when I buy stickers that I put on This is sometimes what I use for a business card. I use a sticker that says NEXA, and it's got my name and phone number and information. When I buy those, it comes out of my ledger. And you say, Josh, what do you do with those stickers? Well, I put the stickers on a pack of icebreaker mints. And so I use a whole pack of mints when I hand out my business cards sometimes. And you know what? It comes out of my ledger. I pay for that. I pay for a text fee. I pay for, if I buy a gift for a realtor, if I buy a gift for a borrower, so I buy a closing gift, I pay for that. I do use some lenders that help me pay for that with points and stuff, but I'm responsible for my business. I pay for everything. I'm also responsible for my downline. So sometimes I'll pay for credit reports. I don't always pay for credit reports. I typically ask the client to pay for credit reports, or I use a lender that will cover credit reports for me. But from time to time, I might have to buy a credit report for some unique scenario. Sometimes somebody in my downline could buy a credit report and it could end up on their ledger. Now we're doing things to keep that from happening, but every once in a while somebody will come into the mortgage business and think they're going to be, great, and they're spending money and it gets put on their ledger, and when they leave, I could be responsible for that ledger. Now we're doing everything in our power to keep that from happening in such a way that it costs me money, and I think that it's pretty much rectified, but there is that potential for me being responsible for my download line. The last thing I want to say today about NEXA, when I'm talking about the truth of NEXA, I'm telling you all the negatives. I want you to understand. I don't want you to come in to join NEXA and then think, oh, wow, I didn't know this. I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't realize payroll was going to be slow. I laugh because with previous lenders that I worked for as a loan officer, if I closed a deal in July, say, let's say it closed in July, it might hit my ledger on the 15th. It might hit my payroll on the 15th of August. Sometimes it could be closed later in July. Maybe it's a refinance and it didn't fund until the following month. And because of that, it might not hit my payroll until September the 15th. Well, right now, Nexans are kind of frustrated because payroll has kind of gotten a little slower than they expected. And the payroll right now, if you'll look, today I'm recording this video on September the 9th, and payroll is working on files submitted on September the 2nd. So at the moment, if you had a file close on September the 2nd, you'll probably get paid on September the 9th, which means it's taking 7 days. That is slow for NEXA because we're used to getting paid in 48 to 72 hours. So right now, payroll's a little slow. So here we've gone through these 12 truths about NEXA Mortgage. If you look at these 12 truths and think, oh, I can't handle those things, you shouldn't join NEXA. But if you listen to those 12 things and you went, Josh, you're not really telling us negatives, you're telling us positives that some people call negatives, then you should call me. We should talk. jmcdowell@nexamortgage.com, talktojosh.net. My cell phone number is public everywhere, but I'll say it again here, 828-238-2682. Let's talk about you joining NEXA Mortgage and me helping you become the best loan officer you possibly can be.